Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ali Aslan. I'm Washington correspondent and columnist for Turkish daily Zaman newspaper and today's Zaman newspaper. I'm happy to join you along with distinguished guests regarding Turkish elections and its implications for United States, its implications for Turkey domestically and in foreign policy. Turkey is an important country which is at the crossroads of cultures and also conflicts. It is situated in the middle of Southern Europe, Balkans, Caucasus, and Middle East, which are one of the most important crucial strategic areas in the world. And that's why there is very much interest in what's going on in Turkey all over the world, given the country's current rise economically and politically. In the last, especially 10 years, Turkey made itself a more influential country in its region and started having a more say in international affairs. What makes Turkey very much important also is the fact that it's the only Muslim majority member nation in NATO with close ties with the West. And now they are appealing to their south, to the Islamic countries around, and to Russia after the end of Cold War, which makes Turkey more and more interesting for many observers all over the world. I think our guests here will shed more light on Turkey's rising role and also the importance and implications of the latest elections which we had in June 12th in the country. Let me introduce our distinguished guests first, and then we will start the discussion. I have Gönül Tol here from Middle East Institute, and she is the director of the Center for Turkish Studies there. And I have Matthew Das, who is with the Center for American Progress, and he is a policy analyst and a director of Middle East Progress there, and Joshua Walker to my immediate left, and he is a fellow at the German Marshall Fund, which is based in Washington, and a postdoctoral fellow at the Crown Center for Middle Eastern Studies at Brandeis University. So we have very able, great three experts. I'd like Gönül perhaps start first, and each speaker will have about 10 minutes, and then we will continue the discussion with questions and answers.
Well, thank you, Ali, for the nice introduction, and thanks to the Rumi Forum. I'm happy to be here today. I'll basically speak about the Kurdish aspect of the current current elections. But in case some of you did not follow the elections closely, I would like to first talk about the results of the elections. The AKP, the governing party, got 49% of the national vote. The CHP, the main opposition party, got 26%, and the MHP, the ultra-nationalist party, got 13%. And no surprises there, but I think the most unexpected and an encouraging aspect of this election was the 5.9% of national votes won by the pro-Kurdish party, BDP, and they secured 36 seats in the parliament. And this is quite important because I think Turkish democracy is at a critical juncture, and we have to the new parliament. I think the first task is going to be be drafting a civilian constitution. The current constitution is the legacy of the 1980 military coup, so I think the first thing that the new parliament will do is drafting a new constitution. And drafting a constitution will require addressing the issue of national identity. In the current constitution, Kemalist understanding of the national identity or national Turkish identity is based on a Kemalist understanding of national identity, which is a very exclusive identity and based on ethnic homogeneity of the country, which does not really reflect the Turkish society. And Turks have historically had problems with Kemalist conception of national identity, and they rejected this Kemalist understanding, and they would like to have a new, a civic understanding of citizenship, and of course, so this is at the very heart of the debate right now in Turkey. So many people, both scholars and policymakers, they after the elections they focused on the risk of the Turkish Prime Minister using the constitutional revisions to undermine secularism. But I think, in fact, this new constitution could actually consolidate Turkish democracy more and will grant the basic rights to the Kurds, who are the country's largest and most politically active minority group. And Prime Minister Erdogan, it's a promising development, I think. In his victory speech right after the elections, he promised that the new constitution will embrace all ethnic and religious minorities in Turkey. And I think this is a very promising development, and the new parliament also, the makeup of the parliament will provide the opportunity to make it so, because the governing party got 326 seats, 4 seats short of a parliamentary majority. If the AKP got 330 seats, then it could basically amend the constitution. It would take it to a referendum without the support of the other parties in the parliament. So now that's not the case. So the AKP will have to work with the other parties in the parliament, basically the CHP, the MHP, and the BDP. And this will be a challenging task. Both the main opposition party and the AKP addressed the Kurdish issue in their election manifestos, but there's a problem there, because they both the AKP and the CHP conceptualize the Kurdish issue from a democratization perspective, and they basically identify the Kurdish issue as a matter of individual rights. And that is going to be a problem, because the BDP is asking for more. Basically, both parties say that we support Kurdish rights to be able to speak their own language, which is also a de facto reality in the region. They speak their own language in their daily interactions and in the public sphere, but they want more. They want the Kurdish language to be the second official language, and neither the CHP nor the AKP supports that, which is going to be a problem. So during the parliamentary process of drafting the new constitution, they will have to come with a civic national identity, and that requires a liberal consensus among these parties, which will be quite difficult, because you have a parliamentary makeup that includes an ultranationalist party, the MHP, and an ultranationalist party, the BDP. So they are on the separate ends of the political spectrum, and the CHP and the AKP kind of stand in the middle, and they really have to lead the process of building that liberal consensus, that liberal understanding of citizenship, which actually recognizes the diversity, ethnic and religious diversity. So that is going to be a problem. So the AKP and the CHP have to come together to build the consensus, but their campaign rhetoric kind of unfortunately it's not quite promising, because they both use the very nationalist rhetoric throughout the campaign. So in order to build that consensus in the parliament, they have to drop that rhetoric. And I think the BDP can also, this is a historical opportunity, and the BDP has a very important role to play in the parliament. They now have a stronger mandate with 36 seats in the parliament, and they can communicate the Kurdish demands to the other parties, but they can block the process as well. So we need a constructive approach from all parties in the parliament. But I'm happy that both parties, both the MHP, because many people thought that they might not actually pass the 10% election threshold, but they did. And I think this is good in terms of long-term strength of democracy and democratic consolidation, because you have a parliament that reflects the socio-political dynamics within the country. So you have an MHP, an ultra-nationalist, Turkish nationalist party, and you have the Kurdish party on different ends, on the opposite ends. And any constitution that's going to be drafted have to be based on a societal consensus. But again, the question is that process going to be easy? Certainly it will not be easy. Again, we need the constructive approach from all parties involved. Again, I think that this third term, the AKP, in 2002 elections, they got 37% of the national vote, and many people, according to the studies, voted for economic reasons, because we had an economic crisis, so the economy was the main thing in 2002 elections. In 2007 elections, the same story, although there were some other intervening factors like the April 27 memorandum. But I think in 2011 elections, the elections this time was quite different, because now economy might be important, might have played some role in the decision making. I think the most important issue that shaped the perception of the voters was the issue of identity. Because it's again, this new constitution is high on the agenda of all parties, and the issue of identity is high on Turkish agenda. So in that sense, these elections are different, and I really hope that the process after the elections lead to a consensus on the conception of Turkish citizenship. Thank you.